Thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Let's talk about poking the bear. I did a video on this a very, very long time ago. I don't know, probably a year ago, year and a half ago. I've talked about it many times. Well, not many times. I've talked about it on this channel about how I don't really like that terminology because you can't use blanket statements, right? What's good for one is not good for the other and vice versa. So poking the bear is absolutely a possibility for any of us. And on my joint channel with Clay, our joint channel is Veterans Daily, and great channel. If you want to get some kind of back and forth, check it out. We talked about poking the bear as well. So let's talk about it, just to have a conversation. Look, this is not, crazy fancy stuff. This is just, let's sit down, have a conversation. Before we jump into it, I want to throw on a special thanks to Robert Bentoncourt 1386. Robert Bentoncourt 1386. Thank you so much for the super comment, super chat. I truly appreciate your support very much. Thank you again, Robert. All right. So poking the bear. Horrible, horrible, horrible blanket statement. What happens when we hear that is we take that and we apply it to everything and everybody, and it's not necessarily the truth. Do you need to be worried about re-engaging with the VA? Maybe, maybe not. I'll tell you that if I personally, and probably many of you, were worried about re-engaging with the VA, you'd probably be at a lower rating today. I know I would. My first rating with the VA, well, my very first, in 1997, filed. In 1997, my first decision was not service connected. So I guess there's nothing to lose at that point. So, but a lot of time, like a lot of you, went by before I re-engaged. And I did probably, I don't know, maybe 15 years later. And my first rating was 30%. So if I didn't want to hey, look, 30%, that's paying, maybe it's a lower car payment. Maybe it's taking care of your insurance on your car and a cell phone, that type of stuff, your internet. Hey, that's good. That's better than nothing, man. That's pretty good. Just leave it alone. Don't poke the bear. My take on re-engaging or poking the bear with the VA, I'll tell you. First, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. Every thumbs up, every minute watched really truly does help to put this information into the hands of others, and that's really what we're looking for, is that type of support, right? So I appreciate you. If you want to support in other ways, consider being a member. Thank you so much to all you members. I do my best to get back to you in the comments. So poking the bear, re-engaging with the VA. At the end of the day, you yourself need to understand where you're at. And you also need to understand where the VA sees you. Is your condition considered static? Are you over 55? Have you had that condition for 5 years? Is it something that's just not going to get any better? Like it's, you got arthritis in your back and your back's jacked up. Or you have sleep apnea and it's been the same the whole time. Or you have migraine headaches and they've never gotten any better. Do you need to worry about the VA coming to get you? No. If your conditions aren't better, if you're deemed static, which is the majority of conditions, right? If you're deemed static, if your conditions aren't getting any better, and in fact, I'll even go this far. If you have a future exam anyway on a condition, let's say whatever it is, whatever condition, you have a future exam in 3 years, and it's been 2.5 years, and your condition still sucks just as much as it did before or worse, who cares? Make sure you're going to the doctor. Make sure you're documenting everything. Make sure that you're understanding that you're not any better as it relates to your VA disability claim and the schedule of ratings. And who cares if the VA is going to re-examine you? Thank you. Please do, because it actually got worse. So I would like a little increase. That'd be nice. Thank you. So the bottom line is that unless you magically got better and you're like, oh my God, my bad back that's all jacked up, or the migraines that I have, all of a sudden they just magically disappeared and I haven't had a migraine for the last 5 years. Oh my God, I'm at 50% for migraines and I don't even have migraines anymore. Okay, look, well, you probably shouldn't, but I get it. You don't want to go back to the VA because you're worried that maybe you're going to get reduced. Okay, valid argument, and cool. Know yourself, and then don't do anything. Stay where you're at and hide. But for everybody else, the lion's share, probably the majority, the overwhelming majority, probably have conditions that haven't gotten any better, probably got worse, are probably deemed static by the VA. And a lot of us are over 55. I'm not there yet. I'm 50. So I'm knocking on the door, but you get my point. There are a lot of safety nets in place that already the VA goes, you're already screwed up. I mean, we've already deemed that your condition of X is not going to get any better. Arthritis doesn't get better, it gets worse, for example. If you're rated at the lowest rating in the rating schedule, there's no future exams. They don't care. They've already service connected you and you're at the lowest rating. So you don't even need to worry about that specific condition. They're not going to take it away. The only time you have to worry about that is if you committed fraud. So then again, you need to go hide. Everybody else, the overwhelming majority, probably it's okay for you to go poke the bear, and you probably need to, because I guarantee, there's very few people out there who took the time to go, here's my 5 things that I'm rated for. I'm going to look at each one of these 5 things in the schedule of ratings and see if I agree with my rating, as the rating schedule says. Should I be a 10%, a 30, a 50? Where do I fall? Was I rated appropriately? If we'll use an easy one. Migraines, because I love migraines. I don't really, but I love using them as the example. Maybe you got rated at 10%, but then you actually take the time to go into the neurological rating schedule and read the rating schedule for migraines, and then you realize, wow, I should actually be rated at 30. This whole time, I could have been getting at 30% instead of a 10. What would have that done for my overall rating? Oh, it would have bumped me up, or maybe not. Depends where you're at. And that's a good thing. Maybe I need to file for an increase, right? So I know that most people don't do that. Most people don't go through the whole process of figuring out where they're at. Now, the VA does try to give us a little glimpse. And what they do, or at least what they've been doing for a while, is when you receive your decision letter, it says, hey, look, we rated you this percentage because you don't meet the criteria for the next level of rating, whatever it may be, because this is the requirements for that. And you read it, and here's 2 things that happen or could happen. You read that, well, 3 things. 1, you don't read any of it, and you just look at your rating, and you go, all right, this is my rating, and you move on. The other thing you could do is actually read it, and you go, oh, wow, yeah, I don't meet that. So I guess I'm rated right. Or you read it and you go, wait a minute, I have all that. The VA sucks. They shortchanged me, suckers. And then you leave it at that. When really what you need to do is go, oh, I meet all of that. Let me go to my doctor, make sure they annotate all of that into my medical records, or better yet, get a DBQ, disability questionnaire, from them. If your doctor can't, won't, doesn't, utilize AME, American Medical Experts. They're board certified doctors. They're legit. And they will complete that for you with all the VA legalese sprinkled in there for you. And then file a supplemental claim and file that on and get that corrected. So poking the bear becomes a necessity. Now, here's a quick one for anybody who hung on to the end. just another, I mean, I could talk forever about this because there's a billion different examples and situations that you could go through. But what if you're 100%? Don't poke the bear, right? Don't poke the bear, 100%. Well, sure. However, if you're 100% and all of your conditions are static except for one, but now you realize, let's say through the PACT Act, that you have another condition that that you could file for that's a presumptive, that might become a static condition and give you permanent and total, right? Because in order to be 100% permanent and total, your conditions that add up to 100 need to be permanent, need to be static in nature. So let's say that you're almost there, but one of your conditions currently is future exam, and it might get better, and the VA might whatever. So if you can add in there another static condition that you can essentially in your mind remove the one that is future exam and then replace it with a static, if that equals to 100, then they'll make you permanent and total. So there might be a reason. And again, you need to just know your situation. Have I documented my conditions? How are they being viewed by the VA? Static, no future exams, you're over 55, you've had the conditions for more than 5 years. All of these little things add up to safety nets, right? And even at the end of the day, if you've documented the fact that you haven't gotten any better, and the VA does actually ask you for a future, asks you for another exam, okay, fine, because it's exactly the same or worse than when I did it the first time, so that's fine. I'll just go through this monkey show again. I'll tell you that I've personally filed, I don't know, probably 7 claims. And a lot of them were at like, oh, I forgot about that. Or, oh, I didn't realize that was in my, this. And then filing for increases, that type of stuff. And through those 7 claims, I was never, ever once asked to go to a C&P exam for anything that I already had. Because the VA looked at me and they went, oh, well, we've already considered that static. We already know that that condition is not going to get any better, which is why we deemed it static. Because you're not likely to get better, so we're not going to waste our time re-examining you. So that's for my situation. You need to know your situation. Can the VA reduce you? Of course they can. Can they decide that, hey, look, your condition seems to have gotten better from when we first rated it, or maybe they were too liberal and they gave you too much to begin with, and they go, wait a minute, we need to reel that back a little. Sure, that could happen. But I think that that's the lesser of the options, right? I think that the majority of people out there, the greater majority, as long as your conditions are static, you've been going to the doctor, you know that your conditions aren't getting any better, you have things documented at least somewhat recently, I personally wouldn't worry. I wouldn't stay at a 70% if I thought that I had another bucket of ratings that I could utilize to help get me to 100. I wouldn't sit at 70. So let's talk again back to the 100%. So 100%, you might want to file for other conditions to help get you to the permanent and total. Well, what happens if you're already permanent and total? Poke the bear? What? No way. Well, it depends. What if you have a condition that got worse? Let's just say, for example, and this is why I hate blanket statements, right? I'm 100% permanent and total. I'm thinking about filing another claim with the VA. Should I? Should I worry about poking the bear? Then you get 15 comments that say, don't poke the bear, be happy where you're at. Meanwhile, we know nothing about this person's situation. So let me give you a situation. They have diabetes, right? Let's say a Vietnam vet, they got diabetes. It's progressed. It's not looking good. They have some amputations. They want to file another claim because now they can get SMC. They need aid in attendance. Maybe they need to get an adaptive vehicle, or maybe they need to get a clothing allowance now that they have some prosthetics. Maybe they need to do some home renovation, so they need the housing grant, right? There's a bunch of situations there that I just wrapped up on why somebody who's currently 100% permanent and total might want to file for a claim. Another reason, let's do another situation, okay? We'll use Vietnam vet again, okay? So Vietnam vet, 100% permanent and total. They just got it, right? Because like many Vietnam vets, they waited for many, many years before they finally decided to deal with the government or deal with the VA. But finally did it, bam, and they have been 100% permanent and total for a whole year, okay? So now they're 100% permanent and total, and now they just now get diagnosed with, they've already been diagnosed for hypertension, but now hypertension is a presumable condition, a presumptive condition through the PACT Act. So now they're like, hey, everybody out there in internet land, I'm 100% permanent and total. Should I file for my hypertension? It's not going to change anything. Well, the one thing that it could change is, let's just say, okay, if he's 100%, he or she, 100% permanent or total, or permanent and total, and they feel super confident with all of their conditions being rated appropriately, they have documentation. I mean, my gosh, it's been a year. Nothing's going to really change by then. The chances of the VA reducing them is pretty much zero. And they feel very confident that even if they did have a re-examination, that it would result in the same thing. Why would they want to file for hypertension? Well, maybe they have a high risk of having a heart attack and dying, right? And they want their spouse to be able to easily obtain dependency indemnity compensation. And they want to be able to, just remove one of those hurdles. Or maybe they have cancer, right? So let's say they have a cancer that's on the list of Agent Orange cancers, and they think to themselves, well, look, I'm 100% permanent and total. Now I have this cancer, which is a presumptive, and it's active, and I'm in stage whatever, and it's not looking good, and I have 6 months. That's a dire situation, and it's horrific. But maybe you want to file for that because, look, you're going to be 100% for the cancer alone if it's active anyway. So, boom, you're still 100%. And your spouse, if you pass away from the cancer, will be able to get that dependency indemnity compensation. Now, do you have to do that in order for your spouse to get it? No. Your spouse can still file for it if you didn't file for it after the fact and show that you actually had a condition that would have been service connected for that then basically led to your death. Your death needs to be, the cause of death needs to be a service-connected condition listed as the cause of death or a contributing cause to death if you have been rated 100% for less than 10 years. Once you've reached 100% for more than 10 years, well, now it doesn't matter. You can get hit by a bus and your spouse can go get that dependency indemnity compensation. So anyway, all that to say is, look, don't use blanket statements. Poking the bear might be good advice for one person, but it might be the wrong advice for someone else. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.